Hi, this is Zack Wheeler. Welcome to Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's the Philly Show. Hope everybody's doing great today. It's Monday, July 7th, 2025. How are you guys? Ruben, you were on national TV last night.
I saw that.
I was.
Yeah, I was. MSNBC. John Leguizamo does America.
That was really good.
Awesome.
That was really good. You had a lot of great energy, Ruben.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about it. I mean, I remember you mentioning it to me months and months ago, but I was on the flight out to San Francisco when it aired. So what was it? Tell us about it. Can we still see it? Can we find it?
Benny from the Bronx. Benny, what was his name? Benny Blanco.
Benny Blanco. I didn't meet any. I didn't meet any of those other folks. I mean, I just did I did that a while ago. I can't even remember when I did it, but it was during the wintertime. You saw we had coats on and stuff. I think it was but John Leguizamo is a great dude, man. He's a good dude. He's down to earth. The only problem with him was that he's a Mets fan.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really nice. They contacted my agent, contacted me. I don't know. I can't even remember how the whole thing came about, but because of my Latin American background, I think that was most of it. And the background of my dad, the history of my dad and my grandfather, it was really cool to be able to show that portion of it at CBP, that they just really sort of installed. And it's just really, really cool to be able to talk about, my heritage and my background. And really it started with Santos and in Cuba and kind of matriculated from there. But it was really cool. Yeah, it was nice. It was a nice piece.
Yeah, Leguizamo does America. In my household, he is known as Bruno from Encanto. So
well, he's but he's also a great actor. He's done a lot of stuff, but man. He's like a good bad guy. He's a good, he's been like a bad guy on a lot of shows. He's done a bunch of stuff, but he's trying to sort of break barriers,
Right. Yeah, he's awesome. So hopefully we can still check that out somewhere. Leguizamo does America. Check out Ruben. But that wasn't the only big show on Sunday, guys. Zack Wheeler. Right. My goodness, Zack Wheeler. And let's start right there with Zack Wheeler. It's time for the Parks first pitch. Parks first pitch, of course, is brought to us exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Zack Wheeler, guys, yesterday. I started seeing notification. Like I said, I was at the airport when this was going on. I'm going, oh my God, am I going to miss a no-hitter here? Am I going to miss a perfect game? Because he retired the first 12. I'm like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I missed Roy Halladay's perfect game. I was off that weekend.
Oh,
I missed Kevin Millwood's no-hitter. I was flying to Los Angeles that day. And I'm going, is this going to happen again? But almost missed it. But he was absolutely fantastic.
It was one of those games when you walk into your car after the game, you say, wow, that was a treat to watch. Yeah. Even though you had to endure a slew of horrible at-bats by the Phillies hitters, the pitching performance was otherworldly by Zack Wheeler. His stuff was great. His command was great. He walks none, strikes out 12, 22 swing and misses. The crowd was great, exceptional. The way they kicked him home in the ninth inning, the way they reacted when he popped out of the dugout to come out and finish it off, because complete games are a vanishing breed. We don't see them anymore. So there was only 19 of them in the big leagues entering Sunday. So he pops out of the dugout, crowd goes crazy. They're on their feet the entire top of the ninth inning. They're chanting Wheeler, Wheeler, or let's go Wheeler. It was a goosebumps moment. And I asked him about it afterwards, and he was like, that's why pitching in Philly is so awesome. But he is awesome. Look at the last 6 starts. He's got like an 0.65 ERA, 3 earned runs in 40 innings. A treat to watch this stretch he's on, and a great treat to watch on Sunday at Citizens Bank Park.
He really is extraordinary. I mean, there's not enough superlatives. The way he goes about his business, his durability, his consistency, his ability, his fastball. He was throwing his fastball against the right fielder. What's the right fielder's name? Left-handed hitter, Benson. And he had no chance to hit his fastball. And he could have told him every single pitch that was coming, and he was rushing the fastball up on him, and the guy wasn't going to get there.
He was 98.8 with that pitch yesterday, average.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's not just about the stuff. It's about the command of the stuff. And the command is ability to mix it up. He said he didn't feel real comfortable early in the game with his breaking stuff, and he pulled a couple. He hung a couple, pulled a couple. He didn't really feel comfortable with it. And then he just rode that fastball, man. He just rode the fastball on some of the sinkers. And, I mean, it was something to it was a real joy. And I was, watching the game because I was traveling with the team, and I am, scoring the game on my scorecard and stuff. And, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm going, God, these guys have absolutely no chance. It's got a chance to be a no-hitter. And then when he left the one pitch out over the plate, and, it was clipped for a homer, I was like, that's really a shame. And I said to myself, like, that might be the only hit they get today. And that's exactly what happened. I was a little surprised, and he came back out in the ninth. Because I thought he emptied the tank with like a 98 or 99 mile an hour fastball on his 99th or 100th pitch. And I thought sort of emptied the tank, and I thought he was going to get yanked, but was glad he was not. They did have Kirkring ready in case he let a base runner on, but breezed right through the last couple of guys in the lineup, and that was it. It's awesome. Yeah. He's a real joy to watch, and something that, fans just cannot take for granted, man, because he may end up being, when it's all said and done, he already is. Yeah, after Lefty Carlton, I'm not sure if there's a better like overall starter than he was. Schilling maybe in the franchise history. Obviously Bunning, and Roberts. There's some other guys and Roberts, but for the long haul, I mean, what's it, 6 years now?
Yeah.
Dude, he's as good as it gets.
Well, now you start getting into the talk he's got a couple more years to go, but enter that Hall of Fame conversation.
Yeah. Question
you're going to have to totally right. Yeah. You're going to totally forget 300 wins, forget 200 wins. You might never get those guys ever again. So now you have to look at starting pitchers differently. And, he is head and shoulders above 95% of all starters in Major League Baseball, maybe more than that, because he pitches deep in almost every game. He dominates almost every game. And then you add in the whole postseason aspect of it, where, he's got like one of the lowest ERAs of any pitcher in postseason history, like with whatever, 8 starts, 10 starts, something like that. So,
well, like isn't he number one in WAR since joining the Phillies as a starting pitcher? He racks up a couple more of those.
Yeah.
And, the way guys vote these days on some of those metrics. And I think he's going to be firmly in the conversation. If he comes out of this with a Cy Young and a couple more good postseason runs, he's going to be firmly in the conversation. I mean, there's no doubt we're watching greatness every time he takes the mound. There's no doubt.
Right. I was talking to the great Chris Ware, who's one of the PR guys with the Phillies during the trip yesterday. And one of the things we talked about was like after Scherzer, Verlander, and there's one other, Kershaw. I mean, after those 3 guys, where do you go as far as like dominant pitchers in an era? I mean, the next set of people, you start thinking about, I mean, who's left?
Garrett Cole, probably, right?
Garrett Cole, maybe one of those, but then it's Wheeler, and there's not a whole lot after that. I mean, the Tarek Skubals of the world, he's just starting his journey, and he's phenomenal. There's an argument that he's, maybe better than Wheeler. Who cares? It's just that, it's like splitting hairs, but
yeah.
But the reality of it is, Wheeler's done it for much longer. So
I mean,
it's great. There's not enough superlatives as I said.
He gives up the one hit, the home run to Austin Hayes on a 3-1 heater right down the middle. He just decided he was going to, try to blow a heater by him. Hayes is sitting, hits it into the seats. But it's fascinating sometimes to hear these guys talk about their art form. And that's what I like to call the way Zack Wheeler pitches. It's an art form. And he's like, I tried to blow a four-seamer by him. And I should have gone to my bread and butter against the right-hander and put a sinker under his hands. It's so cool to hear them talk about it with such precision. Like, I could have put a sinker under his hands, blown up his bat, and maybe I got a no-hitter. But, Zack didn't talk about it in that detail, but you could hear the way he was kind of processing in his mind. You could almost envision him coming in with a 3-1 sinker there and taking care of Hayes. It was just a really nice little snippet of inside pitching.
Yeah, the other piece of that I liked, and we can stop beating the dead horse down, but is that he acknowledged what JT meant to him behind the dish and how important it is. JT's like the only guy who's going to be catching for the man because he has so much trust in him. It's just,
yeah.
No disrespect to Marchand or Stubbs or anybody, but when he takes the mound, JT's catching.
Well, what's so funny is in his last start, early last week, somebody, I can't remember who asked him the question, said, gosh, you're 35 or whatever. How do you keep doing? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, it's great when you have JT calling me. JT knows me better than me. And in the back of my head, guys, I'm going, I think this guy wants JT to resign. He's getting that message out there.
No doubt.
Getting that message out there.
And he's got 2 more years after that.
He's got 2 years left on his contract. Zach does. And a 2-year deal for Real Muto would make a lot of sense. That hits me every time. He was very effusive yesterday about JT.
Effusive.
He has carried me since I've been here. It's an honor to throw to him. So you got one guy with 2 years left, and he's become a franchise icon. And
he did it a little differently than Bryce Harper did it.
A little differently. He did it more in character.
Right.
But yes, you can almost hear that, and it would line up mathematically the length of if they could get JT on a 2-year deal, get Wheeler, matching Wheeler, the remainder of Wheeler's deal. Very, very interesting.
Because I love talking to Zach because there's no BS involved, and he says what he wants to say, and sometimes they'll give you a really long answer, sometimes they'll just give you a 2-word answer, which is fine, and so he says what he wants to say when he wants to say it, and he doesn't really shy away from anything. So that always jumps out to me the last few starts. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on.
No
that
doubt.
was a great
point.
Great way to cap a homestand in a series, win another series. With that unbelievable pitching performance. I do have this one takeaway from the weekend, and I wanted to get you guys quick take on it. Like, you get this great outing from Wheeler, but you get another disappointing one from Luzardo in the series opener against the Reds. Then you only get 5 innings from Ranger, right. And I'm like, 5 innings, and it turns out that he was on a pitch count because he was a little sore in Atlanta. You got one guy who didn't pitch well, was an important guy in Luzardo. You got the other guy who pitched great, but he only gave you 5 innings, and he's a little sore, and clearly they're watching him and managing his workload. It got me to thinking that, as good as this pitching staff is, it's still a very delicate balance, and you need health and you need performance for them to, remain in that rare air of starting pitching staffs are really the best in baseball.
And you need depth. Because that's why it's important to get Nola back.
Any little concern coming out of there on the weekend? Any little concern, Todd?
There's the Ranger, a little bit because that's their most important piece.
Yeah, the Ranger thing was kind of eye-opening when he said my shoulder and my back were bothering me in that start against the Braves when the velo was way down. Yeah. And I get it. He's he's not throwing 98. He's a control command guy. He, moves the ball around. He changes speeds. He's an artist. Like you said, Jim, with Zach, he just doesn't throw as hard. But, you drop 3 miles an hour, 2.5 miles an hour on your fastball, and it's a big deal. We've seen it with Aaron Nola earlier this season when he was getting knocked around. That extra mile or two off the fastball and a little less finish, you can't really sneak a ball by, get hit a little bit harder. So he pitched great that day in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But it was eye-opening, and the fact that they pulled him back and had him pitch 5 innings because they wanted to keep an eye on him, and because of his injury history, it absolutely had me thinking about oh man, can you imagine if they lost Ranger again, and now Nola's down, and Abel struggled, and Luzardo struggled, and really,
it's just a reminder, just a little reminder. As great as the starting rotation is, and as good as this season has been, 16 games over 500, 95 win pace. That area of the team, or the whole team in general, but the pitching staff, starting pitch staff, it is a delicate balance. But Anyway, that was First Pitch, presented exclusively by our partners at Parks Casino, pardon me, and that's Pennsylvania's.
Sometimes it's Mexican and it goes casino. Sometimes it can be of Latin American descent, the casinos.
So Parks Casino is Pennsylvania's #1 casino or casino. And the website you can go to is parkscasino.com, and you must be 21. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Phillies fans, whether you're
Gambler-o.
What's that?
Gambler-o.
Gambler-o. Phillies fans, whether you're sliding into home or just chasing your kids around the yard, staying mobile matters. That's why we trust Rothman Orthopedics. From sports injuries to joint replacements, they keep you moving with top specialists who care for the best team and best fans in baseball. Rothman's got your back, because at Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility is their mission. Visit rothmanortho.com to schedule today, or just scan the QR code on your screen. Every Monday, guys, we talk best Phillies performance of the week. We talk Manco Manco best week. Manco Manco best week. Best Phillies player.
Really?
Play performance, Ruben. This is where we earn our money, guys, because really there's only one choice in my mind, unless you guys have a sleeper.
I'll just go with wheels. I'll go with wheels.
Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done too. I'll pose this question though. What do you think means more to him, being the National League Pitcher of the Month in June, or winning a slice of the Manco and Manco?
Oh, that's a great question. Zach does enjoy his salty snack treats.
Yes,
and
he
his
does.
I am sure he enjoys a good slice of pizza. So this might be the biggest thrill for him.
I want to give a like a piece of pepperoni. I want to peel a piece of pepperoni off the pie and give it to Kyle Schwarber for that excellent at bat in the 5th inning yesterday. 3-2, tough lefty on the mound, lashes a run scoring double. So they're 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. So he scores the guy from first base with a double. That was in a string of awful at bats by the team. That was a great one.
Yeah,
you make a great point. And then finally, Stott got a pitch that hit his barrel, because he's sort of swinging uphill right now. Some length to his swing, but he finally caught up to one and got it good and won the game for him. That was big for him, probably big for his psyche too. They really need him to start performing somehow, some way. He's had a very, I'm very surprised by the season he's had. I know many of us made predictions that he'd be much better than he has been. I just see some length in his swing right now, and I don't see him using that top hand and staying short to the ball. But he caught one. To his credit, caught one yesterday, and he absolutely pummeled it. I mean, that was a rocket off off the facing there, and that was a huge hit.
Yeah, keep thinking.
He's not afraid to come up with a big hit now.
Yeah, exactly. One of these days, you just think that one of those hits is going to get him going. But I want to go back to Wheeler for Manco Manco best week. Just want to go over some of these numbers. So he also pitched earlier in the week. This past week, 2-0, 0.53 ERA, in 17 innings, 7 hits, 1 run, 0 walks. Ooh, baby. 22 strikeouts. In his last 6 starts, Jim, you mentioned that earlier, 3-1, 0.68 ERA in his last 6 starts, striking out 54 and walking 7 in 40 innings.
Those numbers are sick.
It's insane. So let's go back even further, because everybody's wondering who's going to start for the National League in the All-Star team. All-Star game. Is it going to be Zack Wheeler? Is it going to be Paul Skeens? Well, in Zack Wheeler's last 14 starts, this goes back to April 18th, he is 8-2 with a 1.67 ERA. That is tied for the best ERA in baseball in that span, tied with Paul Skeens. Now, this is my case for Zack Wheeler starting the All-Star game. Besides the fact that he's from Atlanta, besides the fact that he's had a great career, and you can make all that stuff, right? Since April 18th, Wheeler and Skeens have each pitched exactly 91 2/3 innings. So they're tied in innings. They're tied in ERA, although Paul Skeens has one more start in that span. So Zach has pitched just a little bit deeper over that stretch. Now here's some numbers that to me just kind of surprised me. Walks in that stretch. Paul Skeens, 27 walks. That's pretty good. Zack Wheeler, 19. So he's got, what's the math there? 8 fewer walks in that span. Now, Paul Skeens, strikeouts since April 18th, 99. So 99 strikeouts and 91 2/3 innings. He's pretty good. He's got good stuff. Zack Wheeler, 120. 120 strikeouts. Paul Skeens' opponent batting average, 190. Zack Wheeler, 164. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your National League All-Star starter. If you need to make an argument, the guy's been hands down the best pitcher in the National League for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
I think he deserves it. I would love to see it. And as I pointed out last week, that ballpark, beautiful ballpark, Truist Park, Atlanta, it's actually outside the city limits. It's in a place called Smyrna, and that's where Zack Wheeler was born, in Smyrna, and he pitched in the Smyrna Little League. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It's a no-brainer. I mean, hopefully MLB does not miss on this one. It's sort of a no-brainer. It's an easy feature. It's an easy call for me. And, we'll talk about a little bit more about this all-star stuff, which is a little bit of a head scratcher. But in this instance, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff. So this week, the Phillies have a 3-game series against the Giants in San Francisco. They are off on Thursday. Then they play 3 over the weekend against the Padres. So you can't go unless you're going to get on a flight and come out to the West Coast and watch the Phillies live. You might be looking for a place to go watch the game. And Ruben, you always recommend Parks Casino.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they're going to be late night games. You can go and have a date, girls' night out, guys' night out, date nights, whatever the case may be. Parks Casino basically has it all. It's my casino of choice. They have action, they have excitement, they got headline entertainment. They got tons of slots, hot slots, state-of-the-art sports book, a beautiful poker room, the Liberty Bell Beer Garden, and so much more. It is how you win. It's Parks Casino. Tickets are on sale for a bunch of headliners coming up. July 12th, it's comedian Mark Norman, comedian Joey Diaz on August 23rd. September 6th, that's UB40, the English reggae and pop band. If you recall, great stuff. And then comedian Russell Peters on September 27th. Don't forget, there's dinner and drinks before these shows at the Liberty Bell Gastropub, Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, or Chickies and Pete's. You can hang out, do all that, and then watch the game later on. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all these shows. Parks Casino, it's how you win. You must be 21. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Talking All-Star, Kyle Schwarber, Zack Wheeler. We agreed on, we all said last week, those guys are going to make the All-Star team. I was very surprised on Sunday when I looked at the roster again. I was flying, so I checked my email after the release goes out, and I go, how many Phillies made it? And I'm going through. I'm going, just two. Where's Trea Turner? Trea Turner did not make the All-Star team. That was surprising. I mean, you can make an argument for maybe not Ranger. You missed the first 5 weeks, and Sanchez. You can only put so many
pitch Sunday.
Pitch Sunday. You're right. But I mean, Trea Turner, my goodness gracious.
He's leading the National League in hits. He's the only National Leaguer with over 100 hits. I was very surprised.
Yeah. Ruben,
it's a farce. I think it's a farce. I don't understand any of it. I'll just leave it at that. I don't get it. The man deserves to be there, and maybe it'll work out so that he can be there. Christopher Sanchez deserves to be there. And there's an argument for Ranger to be there. I mean, I don't know. I know they have to have everybody represented, all the teams represented in the National League and the American League. Each team has to be, all 30 teams have to be represented. But I don't get it.
Yeah. When you think about Trea Turner, he's actually having a better season than
all of them.
You can make the argument Francisco Lindor and Ellie De La Cruz, who are the two shortstop over them. Yeah, I mean, again, Fangraphs war. Trea Turner right now is tied for 4th in the National League amongst all players. Pecro Armstrong is 1st, Shohei Ohtani is 2nd, Kyle Tucker is 3rd, and then Trea Turner is tied for 4th.
They're all on the All-Star team.
James Wood, and James Wood,
and he's not.
Unless he's upset about this, I still think he could end up getting there the way guys drop off. I got to think he was one of the first ones out. But as far as the pitchers, they both pitched extremely well, but you can make a case where they would just miss, and I'm fine with them getting the rest because the prize that matters is not the All-Star game; it's the big shiny trophy at the end of the season. Course. I hope Zack Wheeler gets his one inning, throws 9 pitches, and gets in his car and goes home.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that, but they should be acknowledged for their prowess in the early part of the season, and in some cases, in Christopher Sanchez and Suárez's case, their dominance at times. And I know we see these teams more than any other teams, but I mean, the numbers don't lie either. And, when you start matching up some of the numbers, I really think that these are deserved.
Do you guys like having a representative from every team? I personally do. As a kid, I like to see all the different unis, and I like to see different players from different teams that I never saw before. But now TV coverage is so, extensive. There's no surprises. We see these guys on a nightly basis. But is that rule? Is it time to get rid of that rule, or what?
I still like it, and I for the same reason, Jim. I when I was a kid, for me, one of the coolest parts of the summer. Again, now you can watch as many games as you want, and you couldn't really do that back when I was a kid. But one of my coolest, most favorite moments every summer was watching the All-Star game and watching player introductions and seeing Wade Boggs stand next to Don Mattingly, and for me, Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Cecil Cooper, seeing Brewers next to Cal Ripken and all those guys. I thought that was so cool. Every summer, I love that. So there's probably a kid out there going, I can't wait to see Hunter Goodman on the squad, as the Rockies catcher or whoever it might be, So I get that. So it makes it tough, but
I do like it, but at some maybe they need to expand the rosters. I don't know how much they want to expand them, but I think there's some guys that really should be because of that. Maybe they should expand the rosters, maybe more. I don't know. It's a tough call, and I understand. And MLB's got it's a tough process, and I get it. But I just like to see guys be acknowledged for their first halves.
Yeah, I think I read, was reading about like all-star snubs, and I think somebody wrote, I think it was in the Athletic, somebody mentioned how Trea Turner was probably the biggest snub of all of the all-star snubs. But he also mentioned that last year, Francisco Lindor did not make the all-star team, NL all-star team, when he was deserving. And then he finished second for NL MVP. So he's like, well, maybe this could, maybe Trea Turner can use this as fuel to propel him to a strong second half. And again, same thing with like resting the starters. Hey, maybe if Trea Turner takes this and uses it as snub,
here's the thing about the all-star that you don't think about it necessarily in the moment, but for the rest of that guy's life, like Mickey Morandini is an all-star second baseman, and you say that's part of his introduction. All-star second baseman Mickey Morandini. I mean, that never goes away, man. No one can ever take that away from you. And I think that there's, that's a really big deal. It's not Hall of Fame, but it's an all-star. You were one of the best in the best league in baseball. And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it goes on your Hall of Fame plaque if you make the Hall of Fame. 6-time All-Star, 12-time All-Star.
Goes on everything you do now. Anytime you're introduced, anytime you're talked about, anytime you're mentioned, written about, you're an all-star.
Yeah.
Hey now.
Hey now.
Wow, a smash mouth.
Easy, Howard.
A smash mouth reference.
Yeah.
Jim, that's funny. I'm still, Ruben, I don't know what, was it last week? It was last week. Jim dropped a Divinals reference, and I had so many people come up to me and go, how about Jim dropping a sneaky Divinals reference?
People actually said stuff to you?
Yes. It was very clever and very
people
subtle.
hang on every word, Jim. Every word.
Yes, they do. Especially when you drop in a Divinals reference into a pod episode. So that was great.
Ruben occasionally plays that song.
That's a great song. I got that. I got that on a playlist somewhere. So let's talk this week. Monday. Let's talk this Giants series. So Monday, 9:45 p.m. Eastern. Christopher Sanchez against Landon Roop. Tuesday, 9:45 p.m. Eastern. Taijuan Walker versus Robbie Ray, and then Wednesday, 3:45 p.m. Eastern, Jesús Luzardo versus Justin Verlander. Tuesday, of course, guys, we spent a lot of time in last Thursday's episode talking about Mick Abel and Andrew Painter and what are they going to do with that spot. Well, the Phillies made a decision, and they optioned Mick Abel, and Taijuan Walker's taking that spot. So that's going to be certainly an interesting start on Tuesday.
Yes, it will be. I'm not surprised they sent out Painter. He was just having a struggle.
Abel.
I'm sorry, Abel. Those guys are always kind of linked, but I'm not surprised they sent out Abel. He was having trouble throwing strikes. Needs to reel that in. It's been a problem throughout his career. I still think there's a lot of talent there. I still think he can be you can't judge somebody on a few starts at age 23.
Right.
It takes time to be a quality major league starter, and I think he could be one in red pinstripes, but I also think he could be somebody that could be included in a trade, because I think Dave Dombrowski is going to be aggressive in augmenting, fixing, whatever you want to call it. I think he's going to go out there and be aggressive in getting a shutdown arm in that bullpen. That remains the number one priority for this team.
Yeah, and I think it was sort of twofold. I think it was sort of a twofold thing. To me, it was one was to, get him out of there so that he can kind of gain his confidence again, but also he's got to rekindle his value. He gets back down there to AAA, works on some things, and throws well. He's still, they got to try to reboost that value some way, and they probably felt like the value of having Abel at the big league level as opposed to him working on stuff and sort of hopefully dominating at the AAA level, then the scouts can see him, have success again. And then, I think they sort of know what he is, but he's going to have to go down there and perform. I think part of it is that, you got to sort of try to maximize the value on these players before you move them out, because beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Who knows? Somebody might see him and he goes down, and You might say, oh, you know what? He had a tough time in the big leagues, but he's going to be fine. Whatever the case may be. So I think there's part of that. But it is interesting that Taijuan Walker got back in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also interesting that Andrew Painter's not the guy because he's not quite – I don't think he's quite ready. And I think he's going to come to the big leagues when he is.
You talk about value and the possibility they're looking to have him, rebuild value. That's probably way too strong a word, but because I just don't. I'd like to think that scouts can look through a couple tough performances and look, the track record. Yeah, he's had trouble throwing strikes, but the ingredients are really good. He's young. There's so many variables. I would hope to think that with the, advances in analytics, video scouting, and just old-fashioned eyeball scouting, that somebody would go back to their GM and say, still a pretty good package. He got roughed up in the big leagues a little bit. Still a pretty good package. Going to need time regardless. Even if he had a couple good starts in the big leagues, he's going to need time regardless to really become a quality major league starter. So, for me, it does not diminish his value at all. I'm not certain he's going to be a great major league pitcher. I'm not certain he's going to be an all-star, but I like the ingredients, and I would take a chance on him if I was a rival GM looking to make a deal. I'd want him in a package, and I'd want to give him a little time.
I saw something. Somebody sent a tweet. I don't know if it was to the Philly Show account or saw it somewhere because somebody was, talking about how Abel's really been struggling, and look at his ERA now, and look at his ERA his last 4 starts. And somebody pointed this out, and I don't remember this, but Cole Hamels, his rookie year, after his 11th start, he had an ERA just under 6. I don't remember that, but so everybody struggles.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially early, man. It's a lot. There's a lot of factors. I mean, there's a lot of factors that are associated with it, and it's about getting comfortable, get your feet underneath you, and
believing you can do it.
Believing you can do it, and simplifying some things, getting out of your head a little bit, and just pitching like Zack Wheeler, getting it and firing it.
So, what do we think? Do you guys think that Painter is going to be back? Take a spot before the end of July? I mean, he hasn't really dialed it up, I guess.
I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Tim? I would hope so.
Yeah.
That's what they've been pointing to, really, for honestly more than just this year. This was a guy you thought was going to be in the rotation 2 years ago before he blew out. I know he's working on some things. He hit a rough patch in middle innings the other night, but I think he's going to be here because, look, they're already kind of watching Rangers' workload. They're going to have to watch Nola's workload probably a little bit out of the gate. It might be nice to have another arm around here and actually put into practice that occasional 6-man rotation that they talk about.
Right.
Yeah, I can see them going in through the end of July through the end of the season with a 6-man rotation or some facsimile of one of those where you slide in Wheeler wherever he needs to go, right? He's the one guy you have to put him in the slot wherever he wants to go or needs to go. Then the rest of the guys will have to work around him. And that's a little bit of a magic show, but it's very doable, and they have the depth to do it. I think, but for me, you have to keep, and maybe even Christopher Sanchez, where you keep those guys in rotation and keep those guys 1-2 because they're the 1-2 for me. They were going to start in a playoff game right now. I know Suárez could be another argument, but I think right now, just based on everything, I think it's Wheeler Sanchez, and I think those guys have to be taken care of. And then beyond that, then they work everybody else in, the next 4 guys, meaning Nola, Suárez, Painter,
Luzardo.
And Luzardo.
Interesting stuff. Well, Monday night, Phillies, Giants, Oracle Park, my favorite ballpark in all Major League Baseball. Then they go to one of my top 5, Petco, later this week.
Yeah, top 2 or 3 for me for Oracle, and I'm going to go be visiting the Gotham bar or the Gotham. They've got a speakeasy in the right field scoreboard.
I got to check that out. I did not know this.
Try to wait till after the game.
It's special. Got to be special, Todd. I'm sorry.
I don't have the secret handshake.
I'll be checking it out. Secret handshake to get in.
Make sure you go after the game, Ruben.
Why do I have to go after?
Don't go
Loose
before.
lips sink ships.
Well, it could make for fun broadcast. So
Correct.
Tune in, everybody. I'll talk to you guys later.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.